I want to clarify something for some of you guys and girls. I see a lot of you that are beating yourselves up, and then you beat yourself up for beating yourself up. And it becomes a sort of vicious cycle where it keeps feeding into itself. I want you to ask yourself a question. Ask yourself the question, why do I beat myself up? Like, actually explore that. Not in a judgmental way, not saying, oh, why am I doing this? No. Why? Like, genuinely, I'm curious, I'm open-minded, I want to know, why do I beat myself up? Another question that you can ask to sort of try and uncover the answer there is, what purpose is beating myself up serving? Because it is serving you a purpose. You're not irrational, you're not stupid, you're not just randomly beating yourself up because there's no fucking purpose to it. No, it's serving a purpose. You are doing it for a reason. It's not because you're bad or stupid or wrong or an arsehole to yourself. It's serving you a purpose right now. That purpose is likely, and pause the podcast and have a think about it first before I give you a possible answer, but it is likely you trying to motivate yourself. You're beating yourself up because deep down you want to be better. You want to achieve more. You want to reach those goals. You want an easier, happier, more love-filled, wonderful life. And one of your methods of going about that to motivate yourself is you beat yourself up. And so you're not beating yourself up because you're stupid. You're just a little bit clumsy with your motivation. You're trying to use guilt and shame, which is what beating yourself up is. You're guilt tripping yourself. You're feeling guilty for not doing enough. You're shaming yourself and saying, I'm not good enough. That's what shame is. You're trying to use guilt and shame as motivation. And as I have talked about a million times, guilt and shame on the hierarchy of emotions, have a look at this list down the very bottom, guilt and shame. Right there down the very bottom, guilt and shame are the least effective emotions that you can use to motivate yourself. There is basically every single emotion above that. You could literally use fear, and that's a better motivator than guilt and shame. You could use anger. You could use pride. I'm better than this. You could use acceptance. I made a mistake. That's okay. I'll just go and try harder tomorrow. You could use love and say, maybe this wasn't even a mistake. Maybe this was me just doing my best. Isn't that beautiful? I love that I always try my hardest. And so every single emotion on this list is more effective and a more effective tool at getting you to the goal that you have. I did a podcast on this a little while ago. You can just find this on my Spotify channel called Positive Pressure. Be hard on yourself in a constructive way, not a destructive way. And one of the points that I made in this video is rather than pushing yourself down and saying things like, I'm not good enough, I fucking suck, this isn't good enough, where you're pushing yourself down, you push yourself instead up and you say, I can do better than this, I can be better than this, I'm capable of more than this. In other words, instead of saying what you don't want, I'm a piece of shit. Like, that's what you don't want, right? I'm assuming you don't want to be a piece of shit. So instead of saying, I'm a piece of shit, or I'm not good enough, you say the thing that you do want. You say, I want to be better. I am capable of more. I can achieve more than this. That's what you actually do want. Focus on the thing that you want, and that is far more effective at motivating you. And again, those higher level emotions that I talked about, pride, God, even anger or fear, they are better than guilt tripping yourself and shaming yourself. If you sit there and say, I'm not good enough, I'm a piece of shit, you just push yourself down. And again, to bring it back to the point of this podcast, that is you doing your best. You're not beating yourself up because you're a bad person or because you're an idiot or because you're stupid. You're trying to motivate yourself. I love that. I love that you're trying to motivate yourself. There are just maybe more effective and definitely kinder, but there are more effective ways of you getting the thing that you want. There are more effective tools at motivating you. We can do the same thing. We can get you to the same place, but in a way that's more effective, will get you there quicker, and you don't suffer. And that is just using positive motivation. You won't always be perfect, or you might not always be perfect at this. And funnily enough, when I do a podcast like this where I say, listen, maybe don't beat yourself up, and it's okay if you beat yourself up, people will still take that and go, Okay, fuck, I have been beating myself up. God damn it, Andy said not to. Fuck, what's wrong with me? Why am I beating myself up? It's okay. Hit the pause button on that. Everything's okay. It's okay that you beat yourself up. You're not an idiot. You're not completely irrational. You're just trying to do the best that you can. You're trying to use the only tool that you have at your disposal right now, or the only one that you know you have at your disposal right now, which is beating yourself up. You're doing that because you want to be better, not because you're a bad person. And so every time I have ever said, hey, let's not beat ourselves up, please don't take that as like, oh shit, there's something wrong with me if I'm beating myself up. No, you're perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with you. If some of this stuff resonated with you and you're like a custom tailored coaching plan with a group of coaches and other guys that will support you, love you, and be kind to you when maybe you're not perfect at being kind to yourself, there's a link in the description below to our coaching program. We would love to have you. As always, go out there, crush those goals, and try to be kind to yourself in the process. And if you struggle to be kind to yourself, I promise that's okay too.